By January 2026, millions of Americans over 70 could face fines, license limits, or losing the right to drive altogether, even with decades of clean records. Laws are changing quietly, state by state, and many seniors will not realize it until renewal day arrives. Vision tests, road exams, higher fees, and new penalties are stacking up fast. One missed appointment or failed screening can trigger months of stress and unexpected costs. If driving equals independence for you or someone you love, these 8 rules are not optional information anymore. They are warnings. Ignoring them now can reshape daily life permanently. Number 1. Mandatory vision testing is becoming one of the most expensive and misunderstood changes for drivers aged 70 and above. Beginning in January 2026, more states are enforcing in-person license renewals that include formal eyesight screening, even if a driver has renewed online for decades. The goal is early detection of declining visual acuity, contrast sensitivity, and peripheral awareness, all of which research links directly to crash risk in older adults. According to transportation safety studies, drivers with untreated vision decline are significantly more likely to miss road signs, pedestrians, and sudden lane changes, especially at night or in heavy traffic conditions. These tests are not casual eye charts anymore, but standardized evaluations tied directly to licensing outcomes and renewal eligibility. What makes this rule financially risky is how unforgiving the process can be. Failing the initial vision test does not automatically end your driving privileges, but it often triggers a chain reaction of added requirements. Seniors may be required to schedule follow-up exams with eye specialists, submit medical documentation, or take a behind-the-wheel driving test, all of which can involve out-of-pocket costs. New corrective lenses, additional appointments, and retesting fees can quietly add up to hundreds of dollars. In some states, delays in completing these steps can also lead to temporary license suspension, which may require reinstatement fees later. Transportation researchers note that these cascading steps disproportionately affect fixed-income retirees. Practically speaking, this rule rewards preparation and punishes last-minute renewals. Older drivers are encouraged to schedule comprehensive eye exams months before their license expiration, not weeks. Updating prescriptions early, practicing reading road signs at varying distances, and understanding state-specific vision thresholds can reduce stress and expense. Some states allow restricted licenses if vision falls slightly below the standard, limiting driving to daytime hours or local roads, which preserves independence while maintaining safety. Ignoring vision health, however, can result in lost mobility, higher transportation costs, and unexpected financial strain at a stage of life where predictability matters most. Staying proactive turns this rule from a threat into a manageable checkpoint. Seniors who plan ahead often report smoother renewals, fewer surprises, and lower overall expenses compared to those caught off guard by new testing rules. Vision care, when treated as routine maintenance rather than an emergency response, supports safer driving, longer independence, and clearer decision-making behind the wheel. This single requirement alone has become one of the most common reasons older drivers face delays, denials, or unexpected costs during renewal cycles nationwide. Number 2. Shorter license renewal cycles. Age-based renewal periods are shrinking rapidly for drivers over 70, and this change quietly creates long-term financial pressure. Under updated state-level rules rolling into January 2026, many seniors will no longer receive licenses valid for 5 or 6 years. Instead, renewal windows may drop to 2 years, 1 year, or even annual renewals at advanced ages. Transportation agencies argue that shorter cycles allow officials to catch health-related driving risks earlier, especially declines in vision, cognition, or physical mobility. Safety research shows crash severity rises sharply after age 75, which is why lawmakers increasingly link age to renewal frequency. While the intention is prevention, the repeated administrative burden often surprises older drivers who plan their retirement budgets around predictable licensing costs. The real cost comes from repetition rather than single fees. Every renewal cycle may require application payments, updated photos, transportation to licensing offices, and time spent waiting for appointments. For seniors who must renew yearly, these small expenses compound quickly. Missed deadlines can trigger late penalties or temporary expirations, forcing drivers to pay reinstatement fees or retesting charges. Research from mobility policy institutes shows older adults are more likely to experience renewal delays due to medical paperwork or scheduling barriers. Each delay increases the risk of driving illegally without realizing it, which can result in heavy fines or insurance complications. Shorter cycles also reduce flexibility for travel, since licenses nearing expiration may not be accepted for identification during trips or emergencies. From a practical standpoint, this rule changes how seniors must plan their driving future. Proactive scheduling becomes essential, with calendar reminders set far in advance of expiration dates. Keeping medical records organized, maintaining consistent healthcare providers, and renewing early can prevent costly lapses. Some states offer senior-focused renewal appointments or mailed reminders, but participation is inconsistent. Advocacy groups warn that without preparation, older drivers may lose licenses not because of unsafe driving, but because of missed paperwork or administrative fatigue. Treating renewals as a recurring responsibility rather than a distant task helps preserve independence. As renewal cycles tighten nationwide, awareness of timelines becomes just as important as driving skill itself. This shift especially affects rural seniors who travel long distances to licensing offices, increasing fuel costs and reliance on others. Planning transportation support, sharing renewal dates with family, and monitoring state notices can reduce stress. Shorter renewal cycles are not temporary experiments, but long-term policy trends tied to aging demographics. Understanding this pattern early allows seniors to adapt routines, protect finances, and avoid sudden loss of legal driving status that can disrupt daily life and personal autonomy for many households nationwide today in later years. Number 3. Cognitive and reaction time screening is emerging as one of the most controversial changes affecting senior drivers, and its impact extends far beyond the testing room. As January 2026 approaches, more states are adopting assessment tools designed to measure memory, attention span, decision speed, and reaction under simulated driving conditions. These screenings are based on transportation safety research linking slowed cognitive processing to higher crash risk, particularly at complex intersections and during unexpected events. Unlike traditional written tests, these evaluations focus on how quickly the brain interprets information and responds, which can feel unfamiliar and intimidating to older drivers who have decades of experience behind the wheel. The financial risk appears when results fall into a gray area rather than a clear pass or fail. Drivers flagged for slower response times may be required to undergo additional evaluations, including medical assessments, occupational therapy driving reviews, or on-road performance tests. Each step often comes with separate fees and limited insurance coverage. Seniors may also need documentation from neurologists or primary care physicians, adding appointment costs and long wait times. If testing stretches past license expiration dates, temporary suspensions can occur, leading to reinstatement fees later. Transportation policy studies show that seniors are more likely to comply with testing, but also more likely to absorb the financial burden personally, especially when assessments are repeated annually. Preparation can significantly reduce both stress and expense associated with cognitive screening. Mental sharpness is not fixed, and research indicates that regular cognitive engagement improves reaction speed even in later life. Activities such as puzzles, strategy games, reading, and learning new skills support neural flexibility. Physical exercise also plays a role, as improved circulation enhances brain performance. Seniors are encouraged to schedule testing earlier in the renewal cycle, allowing time for follow-up if needed. Understanding that these screenings measure function rather than intelligence helps reduce anxiety, which itself can negatively affect performance. Some states allow retesting after preparation periods, offering a second opportunity without immediate penalties. This rule reflects a broader shift in how driving ability is evaluated, moving away from age alone and toward functional readiness. While controversial, cognitive screening is becoming a permanent feature of senior licensing policy rather than a temporary trial. For drivers who stay mentally active and organized, the process can remain manageable. For those caught off guard, however, the combination of fees, delays, and uncertainty can quickly escalate. Awareness, early preparation, and ongoing brain health habits are key to navigating this rule without losing mobility or financial stability. Taking proactive steps today helps protect independence tomorrow as evaluation standards continue to evolve across states. Number 4. Mandatory road tests. For drivers in their late 70s and 80s, annual road testing is becoming a defining licensing rule by January 2026. Several states now require behind-the-wheel evaluations once drivers reach certain age thresholds, regardless of clean driving records. Safety researchers argue that real-world performance offers clearer insight than written exams alone, especially for assessing reaction timing, lane control, and decision-making under pressure. These tests often occur at designated testing centers, which can be difficult to access for seniors with mobility challenges or limited transportation options. The process itself may feel stressful, as unfamiliar examiners, rigid scoring standards, and test day anxiety can influence performance even among capable drivers. Studies show stress temporarily reduces reaction speed, increasing failure risk during evaluations that carry permanent consequences. For many, this rule feels less like safety support and more like a high-stakes judgment moment that can reshape daily independence permanently. The financial implications of mandatory road tests are often underestimated. Each evaluation may require fees for scheduling, vehicle use, or examiner time, depending on state policy. Failing does not always end driving privileges, but it commonly triggers retesting, remedial driving lessons, or medical clearance requirements. Professional driving refresher courses, often recommended, can cost hundreds of dollars and may not be covered by insurance. Transportation access becomes another expense, especially when testing centers are far from home. If a license expires mid-process, reinstatement fees and administrative penalties can apply. Research on senior mobility shows that repeated testing disproportionately affects fixed-income households, turning transportation into a financial strain. Beyond money, failed road tests may lead to restricted licenses, limiting driving hours or routes. These restrictions often increase reliance on paid rides, deliveries, or family support, quietly raising monthly living costs. Over time, the cumulative effect can rival major household expenses unexpectedly fast. Preparation is the strongest defense against this rule's impact. Seniors benefit from practicing real-world driving skills, especially complex turns, highway merging, and parking maneuvers. Driving during different times of day improves adaptability and confidence. Scheduling tests early allows time for retakes without license lapses. Clear communication with examiners and understanding scoring criteria reduce uncertainty. Some states permit restricted licenses as alternatives, preserving essential mobility. This rule signals a lasting policy shift, not a temporary measure. Seniors who treat road tests as preparation events rather than threats maintain better outcomes. Planning, practice, and emotional readiness help protect independence. Ignoring the change increases risk of sudden mobility loss, higher expenses, and forced lifestyle adjustments. Number 5. In-person license renewal requirements. In-person license renewal is becoming a firm requirement for drivers over 70, and by January 2026, this rule will affect far more seniors than before. Many states are eliminating online or mail renewals for older drivers, requiring physical visits to licensing offices instead. Officials argue that face-to-face interaction allows staff to observe mobility, alertness, and basic functional ability that digital systems cannot capture. Research from transportation safety agencies shows subtle physical limitations, such as difficulty turning the neck or walking steadily, are strong predictors of driving risk. While the intent is oversight, the change creates logistical and financial challenges for seniors who planned on remote renewals as part of their routine. The hidden costs of in-person renewal quickly add up. Seniors may need to arrange transportation if driving privileges are temporarily expired or restricted, leading to rideshare fees or reliance on family members. Long wait times can require taking time off from part-time work or paying for extended parking. Some states charge additional processing fees for in-office services, and missed appointments often require rescheduling penalties. Mobility aids, medical documentation, and vision or hearing checks may also be requested during visits, creating follow-up expenses. Studies on aging and mobility show that administrative barriers, not unsafe driving, are a leading reason older adults lose licenses. When renewals become physically demanding, compliance drops, increasing the risk of unintentional unlicensed driving and costly citations. Preparation reduces much of this burden. Seniors benefit from scheduling appointments months ahead and choosing low-traffic office hours to minimize fatigue. Gathering documents early, including medical clearances and updated prescriptions, prevents repeat visits. Practicing basic mobility movements, such as turning the head smoothly and walking steadily, improves confidence during observation. Some states allow family members to accompany seniors, helping with navigation and communication. Treating renewal visits as formal evaluations rather than casual errands changes outcomes significantly. Emotional readiness matters, as anxiety can be misinterpreted as impairment. Clear, calm communication helps staff assess accurately. This requirement reflects a broader shift toward direct monitoring of functional ability, rather than relying solely on age or driving history. In-person renewals are unlikely to disappear once implemented. Seniors who adapt their routines early maintain control over timing, cost, and outcomes. Those caught off guard often face rushed appointments, repeated visits, and escalating expenses. Awareness transforms this rule from an obstacle into a predictable process. Number 6. Restricted driving privileges. Restricted licenses are becoming far more common for senior drivers, and by January 2026, this rule may affect millions nationwide. Instead of fully renewing a license, states may impose limits based on physical, visual, or cognitive assessments. These restrictions often include daylight-only driving, reduced speed zones, no highway access, or limits on distance from home. Transportation safety research shows that most serious accidents involving older drivers occur at night or on high-speed roads, which is why policymakers view restrictions as a compromise between safety and independence. For seniors, however, restricted licenses can feel like a quiet downgrade that reshapes daily routines without fully revoking driving privileges. The financial impact of restricted driving is rarely discussed, yet it can be substantial. Limiting driving hours often forces seniors to rely on paid transportation for evening appointments, social events, or emergencies. Ride services, taxis, and delivery fees can quickly add hundreds of dollars to monthly expenses. Distance restrictions may require relocating services such as pharmacies, doctors, or grocery stores closer to home, sometimes at higher costs. Violating restrictions, even accidentally, can result in heavy fines or immediate suspension. Studies on senior mobility show that most violations are unintentional, caused by unclear signage or emergencies. Each violation adds legal risk, insurance complications, and reinstatement costs that many retirees did not anticipate. Restricted licenses can also affect insurance premiums. Some insurers raise rates due to perceived higher risk, while others require additional documentation to maintain coverage. Failure to notify insurers about license restrictions may invalidate policies altogether. Seniors living in suburban or rural areas face greater challenges, as limited public transportation makes restricted driving less practical. Over time, the accumulated cost of alternative transportation, higher insurance, and missed opportunities can rival the expense of owning a vehicle itself. Financial planners increasingly warn retirees to factor restricted mobility into long-term budgeting, especially as states expand these programs. Adapting to restricted driving requires planning rather than resistance. Seniors benefit from mapping essential routes that comply with restrictions and scheduling activities during permitted hours. Using navigation tools that avoid highways reduces accidental violations. Communicating clearly with family members about limitations ensures support when needed. Some states allow periodic reevaluation, meaning restrictions are not always permanent. Maintaining physical fitness, vision health, and cognitive engagement can improve reassessment outcomes. Number 7. Mandatory senior driver safety courses. Mandatory safety courses are increasingly tied to license renewal for older drivers, and by January 2026, this rule is expected to expand across more states. These courses are designed specifically for drivers over 70 and focus on updated traffic laws, defensive driving strategies, and age-related changes in reaction time and perception. Transportation research shows that refresher education can reduce crash risk among seniors, particularly in complex traffic environments. While many older drivers have decades of experience, road systems, vehicle technology, and enforcement rules change frequently. Policymakers view these courses as a way to bridge that gap, ensuring senior drivers remain informed and adaptable behind the wheel. The financial burden of mandatory courses is often underestimated. Course fees vary widely, ranging from modest online programs to expensive in-person classes requiring multiple sessions. Seniors may also face additional costs for transportation to class locations, printed materials, or certification processing. Some states require completion within strict timeframes, and missing deadlines can delay license renewal or trigger penalties. Research on aging and compliance shows that unfamiliar digital platforms create additional barriers for seniors, sometimes requiring paid assistance. While insurance discounts are occasionally offered after course completion, they rarely offset the full cost. For fixed-income retirees, repeated course requirements every few years can quietly strain budgets. Beyond direct expenses, mandatory courses demand time and energy. Multi-hour sessions may cause fatigue, especially for seniors managing health conditions. Stress related to testing or evaluation components can affect performance, even though the courses are educational rather than punitive. In some cases, instructors are required to report concerns to licensing authorities, which can lead to further assessments. This possibility makes some seniors anxious, discouraging engagement, and increasing the risk of delayed compliance. Studies indicate that anxiety negatively affects learning retention, reducing the intended safety benefits of the courses. Preparation and mindset play a major role in managing this rule. Seniors who view courses as skill refreshers rather than threats tend to perform better and experience less stress. Choosing accredited programs recognized by state licensing agencies prevents wasted time and money. Scheduling courses well before renewal deadlines allows flexibility if issues arise. Taking notes, asking questions, and practicing techniques afterward improves real-world application. Some community centers offer discounted or senior-friendly classes with supportive environments. This rule represents a shift toward continuous driver education rather than lifetime licensing. Seniors who adapt early maintain smoother renewals and fewer surprises. Number 8. Higher fines and violation penalties. Traffic violations are becoming significantly more expensive, and by January 2026, this change will hit senior drivers harder than many expect. While the laws themselves are not age-specific, enforcement patterns and penalty structures often create greater financial impact for older adults. Speeding, rolling stops, distracted driving, and school zone violations now carry steeper base fines, with added administrative fees layered on top. Transportation safety data shows that seniors are more likely to receive citations for slower reaction-based errors rather than aggressive driving. These mistakes, while minor in intent, can trigger penalties that escalate quickly under updated enforcement rules. The real financial risk comes from compounding consequences. A single citation can increase insurance premiums substantially, especially for drivers over 70 who already face age-related rate adjustments. Multiple violations within short periods may trigger mandatory hearings, defensive driving requirements, or license reviews. Court processing fees, late payment penalties, and reinstatement charges can multiply the original fine several times over. Research on senior mobility indicates many older drivers underestimate how quickly penalties accumulate, particularly when paperwork deadlines are missed. Fixed incomes make these unexpected costs more damaging, often forcing seniors to cut spending in essential areas like healthcare or housing. Another overlooked issue is technology-based enforcement. Automated speed cameras, red light cameras, and school zone monitoring systems are expanding nationwide. Seniors unfamiliar with these systems may receive citations weeks later by mail, increasing confusion and missed response deadlines. Failure to respond promptly can result in added fines or license suspension without an in-person warning. Studies show older adults are more likely to delay responses due to uncertainty rather than intent, which unfortunately leads to harsher outcomes. These systems remove discretion, applying penalties uniformly without considering driving history or intent. Managing this risk requires heightened awareness and proactive habits. Seniors benefit from reviewing local traffic law updates annually, especially changes related to fines and automated enforcement zones. Driving slightly below posted limits, avoiding high-risk areas during peak hours, and planning routes carefully reduce exposure. Promptly opening and responding to mailed notices prevents escalation. Communicating with insurance providers after violations helps avoid policy lapses. This rule reflects a broader shift towards stricter enforcement rather than education-first models. Seniors who adjust early protect finances and licenses more effectively. Understanding how penalties stack turns cautious driving into a powerful financial defense rather than an afterthought in later driving years. Awareness also means discussing changes with family members who can help monitor notices, deadlines, and payments. Small organizational steps, such as keeping a driving folder for citations and correspondence, reduce mistakes. This added structure supports confidence, prevents escalation, and preserves independence as enforcement tightens nationwide for aging drivers everywhere today. If this information helped you or reminded you of something important, take a moment to support the channel. Like the video so more people see these warnings. Subscribe for ongoing updates as 2026 approaches and laws continue changing. Comment below with your state or experience so others can learn from it. And share this with someone over 70 who still drives. One conversation today can prevent serious consequences tomorrow.